every जो भी question possible है बेटा, I'm going to take all such questions with you. Okay, let us start with the first one. Statistics is defined in terms of numerical data in the, so beta, when we talk about numerical data means it can be in the singular also sense and plural sense also. So numerical data can both be in singular and plural sense. The answer to this question will be C. It can both be in singular and plural sense. Now, you have to understand that sometimes in exam, they actually ask you the definition of something, right? So you know, when we go ahead and when we talk about singular and plural, plural form means systematic collection of numerical facts, and singular form means that statistics is a science of collecting and classification of the data. So when we talk about collection and classification of data, then beta, that is your singular sense. And when we talk about numerical facts collected, not classification, that is the plural sense. And beta, stats की दोनों ही definition correct होती हैं. So it is actually defined in terms of both singular and plural sense. So it is defined in terms of both singular and plural sense, right? So let's go to the next question. Now just remember that if it is numerical facts, it is plural. If it is collection and classification of data, then it is singular. So अगर यहाँ पे इन्होंने numerical लिख दिया, numerical means plural, and if they would have written collection and classification of data, it would have been singular. So stats is defined in both the sense, but यहाँ पे because they're using the word numerical, I'm going to go ahead with the answer that it is going to be, the moment they say numerical, it is going to be in the plural sense. Okay, beta, come to the next question. Data is best defined as. So when we talk about data, data is best defined as, if you read out the options, it is basically aggregate of figures and similar facts. So when we go ahead and we combine all the figures together and facts together, that is called data. So the answer to that question will be D. Come to the next question. Multiple axis line chart is considered when? So you should be well aware of different kind of line, you know, of different kind of charts or you know, diagrams like bar graph. What is a bar graph? What is a line graph? Sometimes in exam, they also go ahead and they also ask question based on that, right? So if you look here, it says multiple axis line charts. So let me just go ahead and show you how that looks like. A multiple axis line chart can look something like this, where you have multiple axes defined, right? So, so for example, let me think of something to define this. Let's say that you're talking about maybe let's say some subscription, or let's say COVID, right? And you're talking about the death rate over different months, and you're also talking about the birth rate in that period, and you're also talking about the jobs during that period. So you're going ahead and you're drawing multiple lines over a period of time, say over 2019 to 2022, but you're drawing multiple lines, and these multiple lines, this is showing the death rate falling. This is showing that the birth rate had fallen but increased now. This is showing that the jobs had fallen, but now maybe with another color. Jobs had fallen, but now it took a recovery. Something like this. So when you have to show these multiple lines, right, that is what we are going ahead and talking about, right? So multiple axis line chart is considered when there is more than one time series, right? You have more than one time series and unit of the variables are different. So we have, see here, I have more than one time series. I have death rate, I have birth rate, I have jobs. I have more than one time series and each of them have a different unit, right? So for example, this has a unit in terms of the age, right? For example, jobs have a unit in terms of the number, right? So the answer to this question beta will be D. Multiple axis line chart is considered when both A and B hold true. So ये दोनों चीजें होना जरूरी है. So please write down when there is more than one time series and unit of variable are different. Right? Okay, beta, come to the next question now. Relative frequency for a particular class. So when we talk about relative frequency lies between 0 to 1. We all know that. So what is relative frequency if I ask you? So relative frequency, basically, you should know this. How do you find relative frequency in different cases? What is the formula for it? So relative frequency basically says you divide frequency of a specific group by the total frequency. So let's write that down. So relative frequency, that is defined as F by N. The frequency of a particular group divided by the total number of frequencies, by the total frequency. This is relative frequency. And beta, since F is less than N, ये तो total frequency है, ये किसी group की frequency है. So F is less than N. So the relative frequency, it lies between 0 to 1. So answer to this question is A. It lies between 0 and 1. Which of the following is a limitation of statistics? But the limitation of statistics is that it is built on random sampling. So the answer to this question is C, that this is built on random sampling. So answer to this question will be C. The theory is built on random sampling. Come to the next question, beta. Mode of a distribution can be obtained from. So when we talk about mode is the one with the highest frequency. Right? And to obtain mode of a distribution, we will see histogram. Which unit or which class has the highest frequency? That will be the mode. So histogram can be used to obtain mode of a frequency. So answer will be A. Wait, come to the next question. Which one is the suitable data if the information is to be collected from educated people in a large area? So whenever you have to collect information from people in a very large area, the most suitable thing to do is to collect through questionnaires. So the answer to this question is questionnaire. Because I just want it from educated people. I don't want it from everyone. So I don't have to do any direct personal investigation. The questionnaire should work well. So the answer to this question is going to be questionnaire. Okay, better come to the next question. The reason for mistakes in collection of primary data is because. So primary data is that data which you directly collect from people. And the mistake that you make in collecting primary data is that you can be careless while investigating, or you can have your own bias. Like for example, I can think ki, ये वाले घर वाले मुझे पसंद नहीं आए, इनका I will give a negative rating, something like that. I can include my own bias, right? Or I can be careless. So basically, beta, all the options are correct. All these three things basically lead to mistakes in collecting the data. Okay. There are 125 educated and 275 uneducated out of 400 workers working in a factory. This method of classification is called. So beta, because I'm talking about educated versus uneducated, I'm basically going ahead and creating a qualitative variable. I am creating a qualitative variable. Why qualitative, beta? Because I am talking about, it's like in econometrics, we call it as a dummy. I am talking about education of people. How many people are educated versus uneducated, right? So beta, this kind of information acts as a qualitative classification. Okay, now come to the next question, beta. So this says the variables which can be counted are known as. So first of all, you have to understand that what is a definition of a variable. सबसे important ये है कि variable होता क्या है. Anything which can vary, which can change, is called a variable. Now it is asking what is a countable variable. So a countable variable is basically called a numeric variable. Anything which tells me how many or how much, that is actually called as a numeric variable. Right? Now the question is, can discrete variable be counted? A discrete variable is any variable which takes distinct values, different values, right? But countable values. Like for example, a discrete variable can be the number of deaths due to COVID-19, right? So a discrete variable can be counted. Yes, it can be counted. So now the next question that arises is, can a continuous variable be counted? And the answer to that question is no, a continuous variable cannot be counted because it takes continuous values, right? So for example, temperature, right, in 1 hour, it goes to 39 degree, then 39.1 degree, then it dips to 38 degree. If the temperature keeps fluctuating between continuous variable, then I cannot go ahead and count that. I can only count things which are whole numbers, right? So the answer to this question will be B, right? So, but this is the first kind of questions that can come in exam. You should be a little aware of what is a variable. You should be aware of, what is sampling, what are the different ways of doing that. You should know those things. Then better, you should also be well aware of as I told you, the different kind of mean, median, and mode. So for example, take question number 14. This says, which of the statistical average is calculated by cumulative frequency curves? So beta, the only thing that can be done through cumulative frequency is median. So we should know that through cumulative frequency curve, we calculate median. Midpoint of a class is known. So when we talk about midpoint of a class, then you should know that midpoint of a class can be known by dividing upper and lower by 2. So you add upper limit plus lower limit and you divide it by 2 and you get midpoint of a class. So this is how you can go ahead and you can have midpoint of a class. So this is how you can go ahead and you can calculate that. And these are the next kind of questions which can come in exam. Uske baad beta, frequency distribution pe thode questions aa sakte hain, so you should be well aware of that. And let me show you some other kind of questions also. Okay, so take this one. For example, question number 63, beta. This says measures of dispersion are called averages of the dash order. So when we talk about measures of dispersions are called averages of the second order, right? Average of the second order is called measure of dispersion. I see, suppose take question number 62. Which of the following result holds for a set of distinct positive observations? So we know that beta, in these observations, always that AM is greater than GM is greater than HM. This is a rule between AM, GM, and HM. So you should be aware of this rule.